Imagine for a moment your world is turned upside down. How do you find the light? In 2017, Diana Shulla Cose and that of her family took an unforeseen turn when her husband was diagnosed with younger-onset dementia. The roles within their house transformed rapidly. Her young sons, just 11 and 14 at the time, became caregivers, and Diana balancing being a primary care partner and the family's sole provider. They faced a journey with many challenges, yet in adversity they were not alone. Across the world, families like theirs faced a similar path, misunderstood, under-resourced, and often shrouded in the shadows of stigma. Diana learned that there needed to be a place for families to gather to share their unique experiences, be encouraged, and find support. In 2021, after her husband's diagnosis, Diana envisioned and created a sanctuary for families navigating younger onset dementia, named Lorenzo's House in honor of her husband. Diana is steering Lorenzo's House towards a future where no family walks this path alone. Lorenzo's House stands as a testament to the collective resilience carrying the banner, "We bring light." Here they reimagine support for families touched by younger onset dementia through a holistic care model. Their mission is to transform the narrative from one of isolation to one of profound connection, from sorrow to joy, and from the shadows into light. They empower families to navigate this challenging journey with strength. The heart of their mission shares the stories of the youth. They are the compass, guiding us with their resilience and truth. And joining us for this interview today, along with Diana, Patty LaFleur, who is the Lighthouse Outreach Lead, former care partner, and torchbearer of hope and guidance within their community, helps light the way forward. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from Diana, Patty, and our youth. Meet Shyla, who's 27, Jalen, who's 15, and Mattia, who's 9. Their journeys are unique, yet they share a common thread, a life touched by younger onset dementia. Their stories not only inform their approach, but are integral to the pulse of Lorenzo's House. Together, they shine a light. I'm honored to share this podcast and for us to hear the courage and the challenges, the insights, and the innovation that steer Lorenzo's House. As you listen to the voices of Diana, Patty, and the youth navigators, you'll discover how Lorenzo's House is more than a care model. It's a movement that's redefining what it means to live with younger onset dementia. One story, one connection, one moment of joy at a time. In our opening conversation today, you'll hear Diana share with the youth how much their voice means to us. Here is my interview with Lorenzo's House.
We are so thankful that you have chosen Lorenzo's House and the courage of our young people, Jalen and Shyla and Mattia. It's so gigantic, right? And we've called on Shyla before, we've called on Mattia before, we've called on Jalen before, right? So this is just another opportunity to share your story. And I don't want any of you to think for a half a minute that we do not think that this is as profound a share, right? Because I have my Lorenzo who I miss every day, and I'm still walking through my story, our story, and it's not easy to share this, right? And there are pieces of it that feel, yes, I want to tell my story because I want to help the world. And that is why Lorenzo's House is here, is how can we bring a little bit of light to help the next family and the next family until a cure is found. But I just really want to honor and thank you for again stepping up and saying, I'm going to share again, and that we do not take that lightly. We just do not take that. We take that like with all our heart. We're grateful, and we want it to be healing your own journey as well as it's giving light to others. So I just want to repeat that always. This stuff isn't easy. We're not talking about science. We're not talking about being on a volleyball team. We're not talking about some hobby at school and something you've achieved. This is different, and we know it's different just because, and you are different because you're stepping up. So that's what I wanted to say.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. This means so much to me, and I know so many families that your light is going to touch and bring light to the dark for us when we have those hard moments. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you courageously sharing all about your story. So thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the We'll Gather podcast. Diana, We are here because of your family story, and tell us more about that and the mission that you've started and that is growing and the momentum is coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for welcoming us, Nicole, truly. And thank you, Patty and Matea and Jalen and Shyla for being here. There's so much courage involved to step up and step in while we're walking these journeys. I'm so grateful for our young people who are bringing light to others who are walking this journey until a cure is found. And the great hope is that when we tell our story, we are also first empowering self and healing ourselves, and then giving, almost opening a door for another to tell their story. So grateful to have this platform to share ours. I got lucky with love. I met my Lorenzo the night I moved to Chicago. And 25 years later, we were diagnosed, and I call it a family diagnosis, with younger onset Alzheimer's. Our sons were 9 and 12 when their dad started to experience brain change, symptoms of brain change. And we found out very quickly that there was so little for us for a profile that was us, younger dementia with kids. And there was the story of trying to wear this new identity, figure out how to meet it in real time. There was a story, like many stories out there, we all have our own. I was in denial. I was thinking, oh, we're going to fight this and beat this, and realized that, well, maybe I felt lost. I felt so sorrowful. And I think it was our son, Justin, who one time said, Mom, you need to stop crying. And it was a wake-up call for me, because as mom, as wife, as now sort of the sole head of the family, I had to look at this experience in a way like I had never done before. And it was the first time that I realized that not only were our beautiful sons losing their papa, but they were losing the mom they knew, because I was changing. And we found bits of light along the way, right? Like families do. We embraced, I think, life and noticed the good in ways that we hadn't maybe before. It was more fine-tuned. And we found, I really tried to set a tone in our home that was rooted in gratitude despite everything. And because I thought it was the only way through. And at the same time, I was trying to figure out, why is it that in this space called dementia and Alzheimer's, FTD, Lewy body, and all the various dementias, why there wasn't really a place just for us younger families. And so I thought, well, maybe given my past career as an entrepreneur in urban education, I thought maybe I could take some of my experience and my entrepreneurial sort of mindset and crazy love for my husband and help fill this gap, do something that could help fill this gap. So in 2021, out of our son's bedroom, we founded Lorenzo's house with a computer, an idea, a loan from an incredibly supportive organization called CMSS. Bill Lowe and his team at CMSS believed in our mission and gave us an initial loan, and an intern, a Loyola University intern who gave us a few hours a week, who now is still with us, Bree. And we founded Lorenzo's house. And the idea of Lorenzo's house is, the metaphor is that you walk through the doors of Lorenzo's house and the entire family is embraced. The entire family feels a sense of belonging, because we feel so darn isolated. We feel there's this sense of, who am I? Who gets me? And that the idea is that you'd walk through these doors and everyone would get you. There was a place for dad. There was a place for the primary caregiver, me in this case. There was a place for Justin and Lucas. There was a loft or some place where our young people could connect and find community. And today, 2.5 years later, today we're not bricks and mortar. Lorenzo's House is a virtual organization. We have one in-person class. It's a music, movement, and community class in Chicago, one on our north side, one starting on our south side in January. But primarily, we are all virtual support programming online. And Patty will talk a little bit about that. What Lorenzo's house is doing is striking a bit of a chord, because there are so few places that are welcoming and that are unapologetically exclusively for younger families, because we have unique needs. We have different experiences and we need each other. Lorenzo's house connects families, and it does bring innovation to this space. And I think people are excited about that, both caregiver families like ours, and also I think the experts in the field, I feel they're very enthusiastic, whether it's policymakers or researchers or in neurologists and social workers. They're saying, my goodness, thank goodness you're here. So, people like you now are calling us saying, share your story. And we're so young, right? We're 2.5 years old. We're a baby. We're fragile, and we're working so hard. And we lead with trust and empathy, and we just are really trying to figure out what does it look like to scale and embrace every family who is walking this journey until a cure is found. So that's Lorenzo's house.
You are so right about that. It struck a chord with me because being in this space and having worked and loved people with dementia, I have not had the opportunity to witness other organizations that specifically meet the needs of younger people and the families. And you're right, it affects the whole family. And there's such a need for that. So I was like, I need you to share this. We need to share it, right? And let people know and let younger people know that this is a place for love and support. Yeah, thank you. And Patty is just the brightest light ever. And I'm so glad that she's also supporting Lorenzo's house. And your story has also shaped your initiatives and drive and motivation for also wanting to come along these younger people and spread this awareness and mission.
You. I mean, I'm so thankful for this opportunity and to be alongside Diana and be alongside Jalen and Mattia and Shyla. They are these amazing Lorenzo's house youth leaders that really share the light that is Lorenzo's house, and they are just such an important part of our community. I walked this journey with my beautiful mama. She had younger onset dementia, so I walked this journey as her daughter. I walked this journey as her care partner. My background was in education, and I ended up having to take a break from education to care for my mama. And then after my mom passed, Lorenzo's house really has been this beautiful place to land, right? I joined it on the Young Professionals Board. I walked this journey alongside some of the youth leaders for our 2023 summit. And now I get to be the Lighthouse Outreach lead here at Lorenzo's house, which means I get this opportunity to welcome our families with open arms through a virtual conversation. And I get to hear their unique stories, which often involve their family and the children's and the children and the teens and the young adults are also impacted and walking this journey with a parent with brain changes. These youth are so empowered that I get to meet with. They want to find justice in this space. And I'm continually inspired by each of their voices and each of the individuals that I get to connect with. But before we hear from these amazing youth leaders, I'd love to kind of frame some of our youth initiatives to allow everyone to know what amazing work we are doing here at Lorenzo's house and what the opportunities are. When we talk about youth here at Lorenzo's house, we talk about anyone that is 0 to 35-ish. So we're talking about the children, we're talking about the teens, we're talking about the young adults, because they really are the leaders. They are the ones that are going to change the world and build this alongside us. We really, truly believe that the youth are our compass, and we are guided by their voices and their vision. Our youth initiatives include our Light Club, our Youth Summit, our Young Professionals Board, our newest initiative, which is Shining Light on Stigma, and then looking ahead to the future is this idea called Shine On. Our Light Club is a bi-monthly safe, brave virtual hangout for children, teens, and young adults who have a parent guardian who are walking with younger onset dementia. The Light Club brings together youth from all across the world, providing a space to connect with others who understand, have fun, share common stories, and build an alliance. This truly is their space to connect and make it their own. Our Youth Summit, so that's our Light Club. And then we have our Youth Summit, which is a virtual experience that is one day. And this year we're looking, as we're building it with the Youth Summit planning team, on how it could be maybe multi-day and what it really is going to look like to support our youth worldwide. We have youth coming from 40 different states and 7 countries who have a parent walking with younger onset. And at our Youth Summit, we exchange carer strategies. We share pieces of our common stories. We expand our brain change knowledge. We develop these advocacy initiatives and build our growing youth alliance. And out of Youth Summit 2023 became this idea on the Shining Light on Stigma initiative, which was born, and we developed our Empowerment Plus model as a way to empower ourselves as when we are faced with stigma and develop our toolkit collectively. So we have our Light Clubs, we have our Youth Summit, We have our Young Professionals Board, which really is a group of young professionals that magnify our mission at Lorenzo's house by using their talents and their voices of people who are working in a variety of different professional industries, and they come together to really make that impact on their community. And then the last youth initiative, as we are really looking to the future, is this idea called Shine On. So it's a future space that will be there to support our youth that are at the end of their journey or after their person living with younger onset dementia has passed. And it's really this virtual space where for the youth that are experiencing grief, to connect in shared experiences and build community. So our goals for that space will be to really provide them this opportunity to share and express their feelings, empower themselves, and really assist with those big emotions. And so we're really thinking about our families and our youth as we're thinking about programs and thinking about our existing programs and how we can make them stronger. And we do that by being alongside the youth and listening and giving them these opportunities to share their thoughts and really lead the way. And I'm so excited that you get to hear from Mattia and Jalen and Shyla, because they're the leaders, they're the voices, they're the community, they're the people that we are listening to when we are thinking about what are the dreams and goals for Lorenzo's house.
Yeah, to elevate and highlight these stories and the initiatives and have the voice. And when we hear story, I believe that we see parts of ourselves in other people's story. So know that people listening are going to hang on to your words and find meaning in that and encouragement, right? We want to give people that hope. So I appreciate how courageous you are. And I'm so excited to learn about you. Tell us about yourself. Where do you live? How old are you? And what brought you to Lorenzo's house? And Mattia, you are first up on my screen, and we are going to start with you.
My name is Mattia. I am 9 years old in 4th grade, and I love cooking. I want to connect to others who have a parent who has dementia and who knows what it feels like. I live in Ottawa, Canada.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jalen, welcome.
Hi, my name is Jalen. I'm 15. I'm a sophomore in high school currently, and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I like art a lot, specifically painting, and I came to Lorenzo's house to meet and connect with other people my age that also have a parent with younger onset dementia.
And Shayla?
Hi there, my name is Shyla and I'm 27 years old. I'm currently doing my master's in education and I also teach. Some things that I love is reading and I love going on nature walks. And what brought me to Lorenzo's house was connecting with others who are going through a similar journey as I was and also finding some coping strategies for what I was going through. And I also wanted to find some ways to better connect with my father as well. And I am from Vancouver, Canada.
Thank you for being here. It means so much to me, and I know everyone else out there. Can you tell us, how has Lorenzo's house supported you on this journey as a son or daughter of someone that is living with younger onset dementia? Mattia?
I just want to talk with others who have a parent with younger onset dementia. It's nice to have parents going through the same sickness. It's good to talk about that with others. If you don't talk about it with others, it feels worse and the big feelings explode.
That is so true. I get that way too. If I don't talk about it, I just want to burst into tears. So thank you. Shyla, tell us about how Lorenzo's house has supported you.
Yeah, Lorenzo's house has supported me in many ways. I mean, we've got the Light Clubs and the Youth Summit, and it really allowed me to make connections with others who are walking a similar journey. There are also some great coping strategies that I also learned, which was meditation and journaling. And I implemented this in my life, and it's really helped me process my emotions and understand my journey a lot better. And what was great about the Youth Summit is the Youth Summit provided guest speakers, and there were a lot of helpful topics that further helped me on my journey. I was also the MC for this year's Youth Summit, which was pretty awesome. And not only was I able to guide along the events of the day, but I got to sit in and participate in many of the sessions. And one of the sessions that really stood out to me was the session done on stigma, which was really awesome because we weren't shying away from it. And normally there were topics that aren't often talked about, but I loved how we were just sharing our stories on stigma and ways to reduce it. I thought it was really helpful.
You answered my question. I was going to say which session stood out. So thank you. Oh, that's so great to have that where it just like those light bulbs connect and you walk away feeling like you learned something so new. How would you define younger onset dementia, Jalen?
For me, I would kind of describe it as like a neurological process where the brain cells of a younger person are deteriorating. And an example would be like my dad. He has a hard time doing simple tasks that he used to be able to do, like playing games like chess. Since he's been diagnosed, it's been harder for him to follow along with the pieces or what move he previously made.
I can see that. Thank you for sharing. And I think when we're younger, we don't have awareness of what dementia is. To have it simply explained like that is helpful. Then we start to understand, right? We can put words to our thoughts. How do you bring light with Lorenzo's house, Shyla?
Being the MC of this year's Youth Summit was such an amazing way to get involved. And it's an opportunity that I will always remember forever. It was just amazing. And this is also the second podcast where I am representing Lorenzo's house, but I've also been on many others where I have shared my story. I think it's extremely important for us youth to get our story out there and normalize that dementia can happen to people who are younger, and it doesn't just affect older people. And I also like to let people know that there are organizations out there like Lorenzo's house that people can turn to for support. And I think that's really important for people to know.
It is. Light Club is a special place at Lorenzo's house. Tell us why you attend. What is it all about? How does it bring light to you and your peers and your friends?
I attend to connect with others, and I love being able to share all these emotions with everyone, whether we are laughing or crying. We're able to connect through these emotions because we're all going through it together, and it creates a really beautiful community. So that's one of the reasons why I love to attend.
So what's a moment that really sticks out for you at Light Club? Is there a certain time or person that you've met through that, an example of how that plays out in your life that you love?
Well, I don't know about a particular example, but I will say that just kind of being in Light Club, like sometimes we will share these stories that can oftentimes be a bit heavy. And, sometimes when someone shares something like that, it kind of really touches all of us. And in some way, we can just relate to one another. And it just feels so good sometimes to just let that emotion out and to just know that there's this community there who is supporting you, and it's such a judgment-free zone. So I think that's kind of an example where I can kind of pull from this, and it just creates a really beautiful thing.
And I'm sure too, because you're younger, your friends, probably most of them don't have parents that are in that same situation as you. So to find people and connect with others that go, oh my gosh, I understand, or someone my age understands what I'm going through. Jalen, how about you? How is Light Club a special place for you?
Yeah, kind of like what Shyla said. When I attended, it's a place, safe space to talk and not feel any judgment. It's very open, kind of like a family, and you can share what's on your mind anytime. And it's also nice to be part of a community that's helpful and that understands your situation because we're all going through somewhat of the same thing.
What's something someone shared that you really could relate to in that moment? Do you have any examples of that?
I don't think I have a specific example of something that I related to, but I do know that there was a time in Light Club where this woman was talking and she got really emotional and everyone just felt for her, and like we could all like understand, even if it wasn't exactly the same thing, we could all understand where she was coming from and how she felt.
Yeah, thank you. What do your connections with others in Lorenzo's house community mean to you? How has it impacted your life, Mattia?
It makes me feel good that I have someone to talk to who has a parent with dementia. There is light in that. We have a shared understanding. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah. And tell us about, do you have a friend with another 9-year-old in the space? Do you get to talk and get together with them?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that? And you're able to get together. Do you do a virtual play date or a play
Yeah,
date?
we do a virtual play date.
Okay. What do you talk about? Do you talk about your experience?
We basically play like games and like we talk.
Yeah. How special to have a friend that knows what you're going through, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jalen, what do your connections with others mean to you in this space?
I think that community means a lot to me because someone can't go through something by themselves. It takes multiple people to help you get through what you're dealing with. In one of the light club sessions, me and two other guys were all sharing tips on how to include a person with
Mm,
younger onset dementia in conversations. And I gave an example. We were talking about sharing things that happened in school during dinner or during a car ride.
yeah. Do you mind sharing that with us a little bit? How you shared that with that person?
Yeah, so one of the guys was talking about how when he gets home from school that he isn't really able to include his dad in a conversation. And I felt the same way
Mm,
for a long time
mhm.
because the things that I thought that the things that I was thinking about wouldn't relate to my dad, but I've recently been talking to him a lot about the things that I've been learning in world history, and
Mm.
could be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that," and it's just nice to like have a connection to something that we're both
Oh.
interested in.
Yes. Oh, I bet. I bet. I'm so glad that you found that connection point. Yeah. How about music? Is music a connection point for you too? If you're able to share music that he loved from maybe that time period? I don't know, just another idea.
Yeah, a little bit. He recently pulled out the CD player and he has a lot of CDs that I used to listen to. My mom was taking me to like I think daycare or something that I
Yeah.
remember. So he'll play that and like we'll both listen to it. And it's just like a time where we can just like connect with each other and just
Oh,
be there.
yes, yes. I love that. It's so healing to have that. Shyla, how about you?
So in my physical community, I felt like I actually didn't have anything as resources were quite limited.
Hmm.
So this is why Lorenzo's house community is so important for me. And in the Young Adult Light Club, we actually have a group chat that we communicate in outside of Light Club. So if someone is having a really hard day, we all discuss it and we lift each other up. But it's not just dementia related, though. We check in about how our day is going or
Mhm.
how has your week been. So it's really nice to kind of just have that support outside of Light Club because it just shows that even outside of this club, we're still all there for each other, which is really nice.
Oh, yeah. Through our shared experiences, I think our bond grows even deeper with other people, right? And then in those relationships, in those friendships, we share about all parts of our life. And how is it important for a young person with a parent walking through younger onset dementia? What is it important for them to know? What would you say to someone that maybe just received that diagnosis of someone in their life, Shyla?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing to know is that you are not alone. When my dad was diagnosed, I felt so much isolation. And actually, I didn't even tell my best friends for
Mm,
years after my dad was diagnosed because I felt that they wouldn't understand. And I felt that honestly, no one would understand what I was going through. And this is why I kept it a secret for a really long time. And I guess I want the youth to know that there is support and that there is community, and you do not have to carry this alone. And Lorenzo's House is a perfect example of an organization that provides support and resources for youth who are going through this journey.
well, I'm glad you have the support now and you're not alone. How old were you when you learned about your dad's diagnosis?
I was 18
Okay.
when my father was first diagnosed.
Wow. That is young. That's so young. And were you probably heading to college or graduating high school, right? So many big things happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just started my first year in college, and it was actually really tough because my dad was in the early stages, so I was actually his caregiver as well as a college student. So I
Wow.
would have my lecture in the morning, then I would come home, and then my mom wasn't home from work yet, so the caregiver would leave, whoever was there, and then I would take care of dad until mom came home. And this kind of happened until now my father is further along and now he is in a care home. But at that time, yeah, I was also his caregiver as well.
Thank you for doing that. What do you wish the world knew about younger onset dementia to make you feel the most seen and supported? How would you want your friends and neighbors to show up for you? What are some actions, right? So, Shyla, you were talking about how you felt so alone because you thought no one would understand. So, what can we share with others so they can show up for us in the ways that that we need them to.
Well, I think an important thing to remember is that a dementia diagnosis, it does affect the person who is diagnosed, but it also affects the entire family. And friends and neighbors, they should be patient, but they should also ask how we are doing and to just support us and, just pick up the phone or send a text. I've had family actually not even really ask us because they feel like it's awkward to ask. There's that awkwardness there. And I think it's because they don't want to bring it up, or they kind of don't know how to ask, like, how can we support you? And I guess this just results in them not asking about the situation at all, but just asking the family, how are you doing? Or how can I help? It really goes a long way.
It does. It's almost like that same experience I know when I've lost loved ones in my life, right? Someone passes away because of the awkwardness rather than someone saying, I don't know what to say. They don't say anything. And that hurts because we want to talk about our loved one. And thank you for encouraging us to continue to do that and to reach out. That's so helpful. And Shaylin, how about you?
Yeah, something that I wish people would know more is that a person with younger onset dementia isn't the same as they were before they were diagnosed or developed it. Um, my dad tends to forget family members' names and they'll say that, like, oh, you know me, but like he doesn't really because his brain is changing and
Yeah.
people progress differently. And I would want my friends and family to show up by checking up on us and asking how he's doing or how I'm doing because being there as someone you go to for support when you need it would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I always share with my loved ones, if you don't know what to do or what to say, just even saying, I'm going to drop dinner off Tuesday night, or I'm going to the store. What can I pick up for you? Just those little thoughtful gestures, right? Help so much because we, as families, we already have a lot going on, and we don't want to feel like we're maybe bothering anyone, even though we aren't. But it's just so nice to step in, right? So if you have a person in your life, just step in, right? Let them know you're there. Diana.
Yeah, I also think it's a really beautiful question when we are family surrounding or trying to figure out how best to help, right? How we're not on the inside, we don't understand, but we care. And a good question could be, Diana, can you help me understand how best to support you, Lorenzo, and the boys? Help me see what that looks like because I don't know. But if you show me, if you teach me, I will do everything I can to be here for you, to show up for you. But I need you to help me see things that I don't get, that I don't see now.
Yeah.
Because then it's not coming in like you have an answer. It's coming in like a learner, right? That vulnerability of how can my family help your family? Because we want to. And this is new for us.
Yeah.
And we don't understand. Help us understand. And then there's this, then you feel this authenticity, like, wow, somebody wants in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I've never heard that before, to step in as a learner. I'm going to remember that. Thank you. That is so incredibly profound for me on my end and all the interviews I've done. Thank you. Thank you. What are your dreams for Lorenzo's house, Shyla?
My dreams for Lorenzo's house is for this organization to grow bigger and for youth to gain easier access to Lorenzo's house's services and resources, to get the word out there that there is an organization that supports younger onset dementia. And I say this because I didn't know Lorenzo's house existed until I found them accidentally on social media. So I have my own blog on social media where I kind of talk about my experiences with having a father that has younger onset dementia. And then sometimes Instagram will just like kind of recommend accounts for you to follow. And then Lorenzo's house kind of just popped up and I clicked on it and I was like, wow, there's an organization out there for someone like me. So that was really awesome. So yeah, I just want the youth to know that there is an organization out there for community and support. And then my other dream is to connect with others who are going through a similar process. And kind of what I mean by that is like a space where people can connect kind of based on if their parent is in the early, middle, or late stages of the disease. Because I kind of think that it's important because each stage is a bit different and having those that can relate is really important.
First of all, I want to say That's the best accident that could ever happen is Shiloh
Shailen.
finding us on Instagram. So celebrate that first. But also I want to say we're small, right? We're a small team and we are really thinking carefully about our program. And although that isn't what we have now, right, is these groups by ages, we do have our Connections program, kind of similar to what Shiloh was talking about. They have this connection outside of Light Club where they have this group text message, but we also really think carefully as an organization about the idea of connection. So we have this connections match model, which is really a carer to care match. Originally, actually, we thought of it as just like care partner to care partner, but really now we're thinking so carefully about what does that look like for young adults? What does that look like for our teens and our children? And that's where that idea of play dates came out, like Matia's in a play date with another 9-year-old. So we're just really at this point thinking about how our connections can help to meet that need for her dream.
Right.
What a powerful dream to want
Yeah.
to have these spaces where everyone really feels empowered and feels that they have a voice. But yes,
Yeah.
we love all of those dreams. And these dreams are what continues to drive our mission and drive our work. And it's so powerful. That's where Shine On, right? Like I even feel like a conversation that Shyla and Diana and I have had has been where Shine On has come from. So we're just really thinking carefully about, the programs and how we're meeting the needs. But I wanted to say we do have Connections as kind of that space. It's that invisible string across all of our programs, but a way to really, and there are people that coming to Light Club, it doesn't work in their schedule. So that's their way to be connected with others and feel seen in this space.
Yeah, that's what I love so much about it. It's the intentionality behind it. You can see that, right? Where it's that intention of we're going to connect and we're going to see where the needs are and meet people where they're at and come up with these ways that will be supportive in the long term, right? For the whole journey, because it is a whole journey. Yeah. Jalen, what's on your heart about your dreams for Lorenzo's house?
Well, my dream for Lorenzo's house is to become more of an advocate for people my age by starting or being a part of a Lorenzo's house chapter in Maryland or even a club in my school. Previously, I volunteered as a co-facilitator for the 2023 Youth Summit, but I would also like to do more volunteering. Another big dream of mine is for everyone in the world to understand and know about younger onset dementia as much as they understand and know about things like cancer.
Me too. And how amazing if all the schools had the place for people to come together and share. I love that dream.
Jalen, can we also share your exciting news about 2024 Youth Summit? Would you share that with everyone?
Yes, I got picked to volunteer as the MC for the 2024 Youth Summit. So
Amazing.
I'm excited for that.
Oh,
The torch is being passed.
Yeah.
Oh, I will look for that.
It's
And
so
Maddie.
Another thing that I just want to name too is that something as these beautiful, valued volunteer leaders are emerging from our Light Clubs and our conversations and our connections. Like we have really thought carefully about what that means at Lorenzo's house and how do we create a space for the Matias and the Jalens and the Shylas and the hundreds of other families that we are in connection with, and we are building these spaces. And that's really, we've built this new idea of this Lorenzo's house ambassador. And that's really what Mattia and Jalen and Shyla are. They're this valued volunteer leader who continue to amplify our vision, to cure isolation, to build a growing youth alliance and create justice. And so I think it's powerful, like as she's talking about starting this club, to really name Jalen is an ambassador. She will be an ambassador in this club and will be this valuable volunteer. And we will celebrate right alongside her and provide her the tools and opportunities to do that and to change the world. Because if you can't already tell, they're already changing the world, and they're just going to continue to change the world. Every day we're inspired by their voices and ideas and compassion. So I just want to name, like, we're thinking about that, and this idea of Lorenzo's house ambassadors, I really feel like has been born because we have listened to our youth and what they want to do to change the world. Like we'll have conversations as Lorenzo's house leaders team, right? But we're not the leaders. They are the leaders. And so really providing a name and a space for them to blossom and grow as an ambassador is really exciting and what's coming. So Jalen, we got you. We will, help you create that space, girl.
Just to chime in, first of all, Patty, you are
So good.
such a gift to be working with Patty every day, pure of heart and such a pro. We're growing this, right? We're growing this. And like Patty said, we're really using our youth as a compass. It's something we always say at Lorenzo's house, our youth are our compass. And we really do, when we think about the big dream, of where is Lorenzo's house? Who are we going to be when we grow up? It's really driven by the voices of our people, right? Of our community, of our family. It's the Jalens and the Shyllas that are helping us figure out where do we go from here. One of the other big dreams that I have in my head and that we have talked about at Lorenzo's house, and it's a term that we're kind of coining, is we talk about ambassadors, and we have a lot of ambassadors that we're building on. And then of those ambassadors, who are the ones that bubble to the top, right? Like a Jalen and a Shyla and so many others. But we're looking at this idea of how do we, similar to what Patty had just said, which is this term called dementiacator. It's someone who understands the journey and is also educating the world, this dementiator. And I really want to write about this and talk about this because they are bubbling up, and it is something that we're developing here. Because when we think about the future of Lorenzo's house, right, we talk about we cure isolation by connecting people, right? Until a cure is found, we cure isolation. The second thing we do is we build this alliance where really in part there once was none, an alliance of young people who have a parent walking with young onset. We can't find anything out here for that. And I've often said that our young people, in most cases, have it the hardest on this journey, and yet their voice is the softest. And so let's give them a place to connect, and let's give us adults a place to be learners again, right? Because we don't know from this experience. I know what it's like to be a wife. I do not know what my Justin and my Lucas walked through. I watched it, I witnessed it. Hardest thing my world and my life has ever asked me to do, but they know their stories. They will tell them when they're ready. People have their own pace. We take every kid at their own pace, but the idea is how do we build this alliance so that in the future, it is our young people who will have understood this condition more intimately than anyone, right? And they will be informing the neurologists and informing the social workers and informing the researchers and policymakers. Our young people will be that. And the last piece is this idea, Lorenzo's house creates justice, and that's new. Our language is evolving. And when we say that, it's really driven from our young people wanting to, what everybody said here is, I want to first learn about this condition so I can be a better daughter and a better son, meaning a son or a daughter that learns how to show love in new ways, because our home is new and different now. So learning the condition to be able to show love in new ways, the more I learn about how dad or mom is experiencing this brain change, the more I can show love and what strategies and techniques. I mean, that's incredible that our young people show up saying, I want to know that because I want to meet my dad or my mom where they are. And then our kids come to connect. But I think that it is our young people who have lit that fire around the word justice dementia, right? Because our young people also want to fight for, and I can use the word fight here in the best sense of the word, fight for a world that includes, embraces is a better word, a stronger word, embraces families, full families walking with dementia. Until a cure is found, we have to dismantle that stigma together. And I think it's our young people that are just the inspiration behind that.
Yeah. When you talk about the builders, when I think of a house, right, I'm looking at the Lorenzo's house behind you at the house. I think of, we build a strong foundation, right? Or you have to have a strong foundation to build a house. And when I think of that, and when I think of the investment in the youth and wanting their voice, and they're really the ones that are building this foundation, right, of strength, and to be able to have the scaffolding to support the mission and the work and all of the other families and their voice and have the justice. I can visualize it, right? And I think we have to be visionary when we want to change the world, to be able to to go for it. And you talk about the dementia educator. I had an interview with a neuropsychologist. We were talking about preventing dementia. But one of the things that we had talked about that he had said is he goes, think about it. There is not a dementiaologist, not saying that right. There's not a dementiaologist or a dementiacator. Why isn't there? I love that you speak to that as well, that that movement and that stigma, and we need to talk about it. Yeah, share it. So tell us about your event. What is all coming up for you guys? How can we support you? How can we rally around you? Help with the foundation, all of the things.
Thank you. So we are very excited about our third annual We Bring Light event. And again, our tagline is We Bring Light, but on 11/28, that happens to be Giving Tuesday, we will gather. It'll be a virtual event, and 11/28 Giving Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time. And it is an hour and a half. If you can come from beginning to end, please do. If you can meet us in the middle, please do. But what it is it is an evening where we share stories and we embrace each other's journey. And there is so much light. There will be tears and there will be moments of incredible joy. And it is about showcasing, highlighting this past year. And so I think we have something like, Patty, was it 16, 17 voices or more than that?
I think it's right at 17 different voices from our community.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So some will be live and some will be already recorded, but it's a beautiful night together. So please join, because it's a great way to get to know who we are at Lorenzo's House. And Lorenzo's House is a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit startup, right? So a startup means we're brand new. Nonprofit means we are every program at Lorenzo's House. The goal is that everything is free, and that we are building this together, not just an organization, but a movement. So for us, it's, we have fundraising in big ways around sort of finding foundations and corporations, that kind of funding. But we're also about the $5 donation. That matters to Lorenzo's House, because it's about the number of people saying, I want in. And so if we can have, like last year, we had over 200, just in our first couple of years, over 200 donors. Some were giving $1 and some were giving $10,000 and some were giving more. But so I always talk about the number of gifts versus the amount. And that is really important when you talk about giving to Lorenzo's House. We don't need big dollars. We need smaller dollars with lots of people, because then that will catch light, right? That will catch light. And those bigger donors will say, oh, something's going on there.
Yeah.
So
I'll be
when
there.
A dollar matters.
Yes, I'll be there. So audience, everyone join, sign up, attend, do all the things. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. This has been so wonderful to hear the stories. Oh my goodness. And Jalen and Shyla and Mattia, thank you for taking the time. And Patty, Diana.
Thank you so much. You're so beautiful. And, we are really grateful too for the trust. We're all about trust, and that we bring our young people to people we trust, right? And that's so important that we have this with you. So thank you so much. And
thank you for entrusting me to share your story. I do not take that lightly, and I know it's an honor, and I'm privileged to be able to do it. And I just hope all of the ears listen in the world, and then there's action, right? Because we can listen, but then we got to have action. So challenging everyone to have action.
Absolutely. And if someone wants to reach out to us right now, it's info@lorenzoshouse.org. info@LORENZOHOUSE.org.
Yeah.
And we respond to emails really quickly. Right?
Thank you.
We don't.
Yeah. And we will include information on our show notes, so people that are listening can go look beneath, and the description will have your website. We'll put information about the We Bring Light event. We will include links to where we can learn more and the programs that are happening, and social media. So all
Yes.
avenues.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.